Promises in Formula 1 hold together like a chocolate teapot. One moment you're the #1 driver, next you're dropped for the hot new thing. One moment you're entering a team promising you world championships, and the next you're picking up your Driver of the Day award for an impressive P13 finish, managing to beat faster cars against the odds, punching up into the midfield. Promises often benefit those making them far more than those that they are made to, and there's a driver on the grid that may well have signed his future away partially based on a promise that has already proven to be false, before he is even suited up in his new team's colours. What's worse is there is the feeling that all of this could have been prevented, and that Scuderia Ferrari has gone down without a fight. Want to know why Hamilton may have been sold a false dream at Ferrari? He hasn't even arrived yet, but one of the team's big targets has already slipped through their fingers. And stick around, because another driver has been promised the world and may actually be getting it. But is it all just a bit too far away for him to handle? So it would seem that Adrien Newey is signing a £30 million per year deal including add-ons and bonuses with Aston Martin, making him better paid than 18 F1 drivers, with only Lewis and Max being better off. The news followed the acquisition of further investment for the team by selling off minority stakes to two major investment funds, an influx of up to $2 million, and the John Hancock of a legendary car designer is a pretty substantial addition to the Silverstone team, especially when you consider the vast infrastructural overhaul that has preceded it. So good news all round, right? Well, not if you're Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion shocked the world in February this year when he announced that he was leaving Mercedes to join Scuderia Ferrari, a collaboration that has been rumoured since even before he joined Mercedes. The winningest driver joining up with the winningest team seems to be a match made in heaven. However, it would now appear that some factors could be missing from the plans originally sold to Hamilton. One such factor is the winningest car designer, someone who Ferrari were incredibly keen to acquire and someone that they have somehow allowed to go to a competitor despite the emotional leverage that Ferrari had. The leverage we speak of is the team holding 2 of 3 regrets stated by Newey in an interview last year. One is the team itself, and the other is their new driver. Despite all of this and the overwhelming pull of designing the red car, Ferrari fumbled the bag and allowed Newey to slip their fingers. Now, we can't guarantee that the acquisition of Newey was originally promised to Hamilton way back when negotiations first began. However, upon the car designer freeing himself up from the near 2-decade stint at Red Bull, it became clear that both Ferrari and Hamilton wanted Newey as part of the project come 2026. Hamilton, in an interview with Sky F1, even stated that if he had to do a wish list of those that he would want to work with in Formula 1, Newey would be at the very top of it. So given Newey's eyelash battering towards both parties last year, the anticipation of Newey signing on to the Dream Team must have been pretty high. Ferrari's reason for pulling out of the Newey race was simple. They didn't want to get into a bidding war with Aston Martin and Lawrence Stroll, with them believing that the sheer amount of cash on offer to Newey was far outweighing the emotional incentive to join Ferrari. It's fair enough that they wouldn't want to increase their wage bill any further, given that Hamilton will be on a rumoured $48 million per year, according to the Gazzetta dello Sport. However, that won't make the news any easier for Hamilton to hear. The team which he is currently leaving seems to have a handle on their Mike Elliott-induced nosedive, with James Allison bringing the team back to winning ways. And beyond that, the team he is joining has only just managed to pull themselves out of a tough spot. The caveat on the major turnaround that Ferrari demonstrated at Monza is exactly that. It was at Monza, a track where Ferrari always brings major upgrades and prioritize wins at just to appease their precious tifosi, or rather give them a reason not to complain ad nauseum. So it is yet to be seen whether Hamilton is actually joining a team that will have better chances of winning come next year, and more importantly in 2026. Ferrari losing out on Newey will be a pretty big but not insurmountable blow to the confidence in the project. Ferrari will likely do well on the engine side of things, but that isn't where they have struggled in the past. After all, Monza requires a blunt force instrument of pure speed, where the rest of the previous races where Ferrari have struggled this year require something more refined. So just how far the package around the engine can be refined is yet to be seen, but the fact that they had to drag Rory Byrne back into the factory kicking and screaming to make this year's car capable of winning races is a sign that the reinforcement in the design room that Newey would have provided would have potentially been game-changing. The 2026 regulations have often been described as centered on the engine more than anything, and that is correctly emphasized given the switch to more electronic power and the vast overhaul of the hybrid engine systems. However, championships are won and lost based on the car's design getting the most out of the engine's capabilities. The cars in 2026 won't just be the same as we've seen in recent years, the chassis are changing and the aero with them, so the acquisition of the man who has won more championships than any other car designer is one hell of a coup by Aston Martin and one hell of a loss for Ferrari. Now, for our more loyal viewers, if you cast your mind back to a couple of videos ago, we hypothesized the promise of Adrien Newey coming to Aston Martin could have played a large part in Fernando Alonso's eagerness to sign an extension with Aston Martin, who are already showing no signs of challenging for the top 4 this year. The past few months for Alonso had many of us questioning just how long can a person with such high standards and such a short fuse to match tolerate such poor performances. Best of the rest and fighting for 9th at best isn't exactly what Alonso signed up for, especially with his Mission 33 last year, so the questions regarding why he signed so eagerly and how long his passive nature would last were pretty understandable if not obvious. Now that it seems that Newey is coming into the team, as well as the vast influx of cash thanks to new investments and shareholder acquisitions, makes Alonso's ability to stay measured all the more understandable, as with a legendary car designer, bottomless pit of money, and a prestigious engine designer who won the last 3 constructors at Red Bull, even after their formal exit from the team, it appears that a 2026 title challenge may well be on the cards for the Spaniard, who will likely deem his chances at Aston Martin to be even better than the drivers at Red Bull, better than the customer teams adapting to the new engines, and likely on an equal footing with Ferrari and Mercedes, who have previously handled engine regulations incredibly well. Regardless of whether he knew about the influx of cash and internal expectations of Newey signing, Alonso acknowledged that his eyes are on the long term with the team, with the Spanish drivers saying, "We need to be patient, we need to understand that the big target is 2026, but at the same time, I think as a team we could accept not being in the top 4 of the battle. They are the top teams and they are well in front of us, but now to be behind Williams, behind Haas, behind VCarb, I think we have to raise the level a little bit. We have to go better." And the rest of the interview with Marco was filled with his expectations and frustrations with the current performance of the car, with him seeing Mercedes as a case of what could have been. However, there was a constant underlying message that 2026 is the main focus of the team, and if he can do better before, then even better. Alonso is stuck in a bit of a halfway house, where he wants to what he had last season, while also seeing that all of that and more is just a season and a half away. While he expects improvements will come in the long term based off the aforementioned entries into the team and clear improvements that will come with them, he still desires short-term improvements to make the wait for all of those factors to start making an impact far more bearable. So what do you think? Do you think the mix of Adrien Newey, countless riches, and Fernando Alonso is enough to win championships? Or will financial regulations and 2 men coming into the twilight of their career prove to be a case of right people at the wrong time for the Silverstone team? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. No matter what, Hamilton will be worrying that he is entering a weaker team than what could have been, as the top man on his wish list gets stolen away.